About 20 years ago, I met a guy whose name was Rob Mackey from the United States. He was a young guy, about 25 years old, from Washington State. He likes to hunt and guide. I meet him in Bella Coola. He wanted to come with me to learn how to guide. He said, I don't want pay, just feed me, that's all. I told him he would have to get his assistant guide license, and they were only sold at the head office in Williams Lake. I'm not sure if that would be provincial or tribal. The young fella who wanted to learn to guide wanted very much to come, but I just didn't need 4 guides. I was getting ready to go on the last hunt of the fall that year. Obie Mack, Dusty, and George Anderson were my guides. My nephew, son and son-in-law. We flew back to Owikano Lake with 2 hunters. Dusty took one guy to the Wash River Valley, and George took the other guy to the Indiana River. They returned that night to our base camp. They'd seen lots of tracks and spoor, but no bears. I told them to go back to the same place the next morning. I got up early that morning to make coffee so they could get an early start. I stayed in the camp. They were gone just a short while, and I heard an airplane. It sounded like it was going to land. It circled around and landed in the water, then coasted up to our camp. I put my gumboots on and went out to meet the plane. A guy waved at me. I pulled the plane by a rope as far as I could and onto shore. There on the plane was a young fellow who wanted to guide with a camera and a gun. He told me he'd got his guiding license, and all I had to do was sign my name and he would be able to guide for me. Dusty and George both got grizzly bears that morning for the hunters they took out. 2 bears that morning. It's all finished now, I said. We go home now. Close up, and you guys can go home on the plane. It was around the end of October. We were at the Wash cabin, Owikano Lake, right up at the head near the Narrows. They said, all right. Bob was going to come with me and get all that stuff and pack it in the cabin and help me close up for the year. Tents, stoves, and stuff were about 15 miles away. We got to pick all that up. After that, we go home too. Bob liked that. He wanted to come home with me. Just the 2 of us and get all the stuff and pack it on the main cabin. The plane came in for George, Dusty, and Obie. We packed some stuff in. George and Obie went home with the 2 hunters. After the plane gone, I told Bob Mackey, okay, let's go. We pack our stuff out of there. We camp out overnight. He don't want no pay, this guy. He wants a grizzly bear for his pay. Okay, I say, we will hunt for a bear. I suppose you want a big one, hey? Yeah, he said, grizzly bear always. Anyway, we pack our stuff and grub into the boat, and we took off. We had a big boat, big flat-bottom skiff, built like a little scow. Big motor on it. You can sleep in this boat if we have to. I run about another 4 miles down the Owikano Lake to the camp. I see something swimming in the water. I look at it. Gee, it looked like a bear. It was coming towards us. I slow the motor down, right down, idle slow. This thing was coming right straight for us. I look at it. Bob was looking too. I reverse that motor back up so we just keep still. That thing's still coming toward us. I see his ears. I look at it, getting pretty close, about 50 feet away now. Bob said, it's a black bear. Yeah, maybe it's a black bear, I said. Black head, little white around its nose. Bob Mackey picked up his gun. No, don't shoot him, I said. Too much like work to drag him up on the beach. We stand together and keep looking at it. That thing's still coming towards us, and right at once, he hump up and dive down under the water. Black bear? He said. No, it's not a black bear, I said. Something different than a black bear. Black bear don't dive like that. Grizzly bear will stick its head in the water, but not a black bear, I said. I seen grizzly bear diving in with the front part feeling for fish, but black bear don't do that. He went right under and never come up again. We get out of there quick. I don't know what that was. It wasn't a bear, it wasn't a seal, it wasn't a sea lion. Let's go, I said. Up there all by yourselves, getting dark. We go to the Nechance River. I run up the river about a mile in the boat. We land, pack our grub and stuff. Got a little bit of wood for campfire at night. Cook something to eat. The next day, Bob Mackey shoot a bear. He got his bear, grizzly bear, all right. Not very big, but he was satisfied with it. Silver tip, nice silver tip. We skin that bear as fast as we can skin him, pack the tent and stuff in the boat, and take off. Take this bear skin with us too. I told Bob, if we see another grizzly bear, a big one, you take it too. I'll take the one you got. We didn't see any more bears. We went through the first narrows, then the second narrows. Just as we passed the second narrows is the third narrows. There were some pilings, they looked like logs sticking up out of the water. I saw this thing stick its head out. I look at it, I pointed at it. Seal playing? I said. Bob pick up his gun right away. Bob Mackey had a powerful gun, .338 automatic, real big bear gun. If it's a seal, shoot him, I said. I don't like them seals in this country. They eat the fish, bust up the schools of coho. Lots of coho come up here, and those seals chase them. Then the coho don't bite for a long time. That don't bite anymore. Too many seals in this country. There are quite a few seals in that Owikino Lake. We look at it close. It had its head up, way up. It had a long, skinny neck. Not fat, kind of bent over. Pretty dark black, it looked like. Ears. I can see it. Small head, too. I didn't notice any ears. I can see its head sideways. Looked like it had eyes, big eyes. Mouth closed, no teeth. Looked like a snake, but had a different kind of head on it. From the head to shoulder, I could see it. That thing had shoulders like an animal, body of an animal. Neck to head was not long, not quite long, about 5 feet. This young fella aim, he was a deadly shot, he can't miss. And he aim and he look at me. Go ahead, I said. I stood beside him. He had a .338 rifle, powerful gun. One shot can kill a grizzly bear real easy. He aimed for quite a while. We were pretty close now, about 100 feet from him. That gun went off, bang! And I kicked the boat ahead toward where the thing went down. I think he hit him all right. He can't miss. He went down when he shot. Head went in the water. I don't know if he killed it or if that thing just dived in the water. I think he killed it, hit its head. That animal went down under the water and sunk. I kick ahead right where he went down underwater. I look for blood or fat coming to the top of the water. When you shoot a seal or sea lion in the water, there would be blood or fat or bubbles coming up. But there was no blood, no fat, no bubbles. Maybe we were too close. Bullet go through like a pinhole. Go right through the thing's head. Maybe the bullet hit a big bone inside. That lake water was kind of clear. I look where that thing went down to the bottom. I see a black thing down there, a big black thing, just all black. I couldn't make a shape how he looked like. He was big, bigger than the biggest grizzly bear. While I was looking, that thing come alive, looked like it. While we looking down, there it started paddling, kicking ahead like a big boat, backing up and churning the water. The water was boiling, coming up. Looked like he was taking off away from us. Then Bob said, "Go on, get going." I put the motor in gear, and I opened it up wide open, get out of there. We still had about 6 miles to go. Just past the third narrows, the lake opens up again. Bob said, "Run that boat right up on the beach. I don't want to stay in the water any longer." I had it going wide open. I ran the boat wide open to the cabin. I ran the boat up onto the shore by the cabin. We packed the stove and gear into the cabin. After that, I said to Bob, "What was that you shot out there in the narrows?" "It was a dinosaur. They were around about 1 million years ago, but there shouldn't be any more around. You'll see a picture of it someday. You'll see it. You'll see the name of it, dinosaur. Maybe you'll see it on television," he said. "How come I don't see teeth?" I asked. He said there were 2 kinds of dinosaur. One dinosaur, a flesh eater, eats meat, he kills animals. This one eat leaves like from a tree. That's the kind I shot. That's the kind we seen. When we got back to Bella Coola, we don't talk about what happened because we think people will laugh at us, say we bullshitting them. I never heard if anyone else see that thing that year. I know the Rivers Inlet Indians from the Owikino village don't want to travel them narrows at night. When they come to our camp, they always want to take off before dark. Get out of there before too late. I hear stories that they are scared of them things. I talked to some relation of David Bernard, a Rivers Inlet Indian. After that guy told me David Bernard saw the same animal many years before we saw it. So, up in Victoria, there are a couple of professors who have studied such a creature and collected sightings from it. I'll see if I can't put a link to that. They call it Cadborosaurus. Because it was first sighted, or the first sighting they became aware of was in Cadboro Bay, which is right outside Victoria. So, so I did a little research about it. On our canoe journeys up north, I always like to read historical accounts and so forth, especially native ones. And each tribal group, different languages, like Clayton was saying, they make reference to a sea serpent of some sort. And the two-headed sea monster, it's one of the clans up north coast. So, presumably it's a possibility. He claims to have seen it. But I don't know anyone else other than those guys from, is it University of Victoria? Who have collected stories about it. I do remember reading, maybe in our local newspaper, about 20 years ago, a woman was walking along the beach along the Strait of Juan de Fuca, and she said she saw something that was kind of humped up and had like a horse-like head, and interestingly, kind of little ears that sort of moved around. I don't know. Back when I first started working where I do, there was a legal researcher who was doing some early research, like 1850s, Washington State stuff. So he would be going through old newspapers, and South Puget Sound is where a lot of that early white settlement happened. And so he collected a story, and I'm sure I've got that too, which I'll put up. From the 1850s, about two guys who were out fishing off of Steilacoom, which is down not quite as far south as Olympia, but further south than Tacoma, on South Puget Sound. It's actually kind of right by where Bobo Russell, the guy who stole the Q400 from SeaTac and flew around and did some barrel loops and then crashed. He crashed right close to that spot. So they were out fishing. It was a beautiful afternoon in like the mid-1850s or something. And they said suddenly, right close to them, this thing came up, and it had a head like, it's been too long since I've read the article. But they said it was big enough that it probably could have swallowed a calf. like a cow calf, a beef calf. So pretty good size. And so they skedaddled back to shore. They were scared by it, but it didn't seem to threaten them. I'll see if I can't dig that up. Anyway, I've done a little research on that one too. Always hoping to see something. You know, I'm always hoping to see Bigfoot. But until I do, until I see Sissyult, the sea monster, I guess I'm just naturally a little skeptical, and I just don't. I need to see it to believe it. So, anyway, fun stuff.